The previous basket is under review.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get it rolling. Everybody, thank you for joining tonight. We are doing an Ask Me Anything, an AMA with Maryland women's basketball head coach Brenda Frese. You have been at Maryland for 23 years, which is an amazing run. It will be year 24 this winter. Championship winner. We better not forget that. Just got off of a Sweet 16 appearance. I'm getting to see a lot of buzz out and about this incoming squad. You know, a lot of I've seen at least one headline where it's is Maryland the sneaky Final Four team this year? I don't know how sneaky you can be when, you were a 3 seed, but, I'm sure, you're as excited for this team as a lot of people in the media are, correct?
I'm really excited about this team, and I think just because of how not only, I mean, I think a lot of people know the talent that we have, what we signed out of the portal, and what we have coming back, but I think what is separating this team right now is just their work ethic and their chemistry from the minute they got on campus. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I think this team is better than last year's team. We're deeper at every single position, 2 or 3 deep. So I think that's the exciting thing is when you look at, that was a Sweet 16 team that was 2 possessions away from getting to an Elite 8, and who knows after that. So I do think it is exciting.
Well, that actually feeds right into our first couple of questions. First one from Dolly Rock. Who is one player on your roster people aren't talking enough about?
Oh man. Well, there's a lot of players on our roster that are new. I'd probably say, Brianna Williams. I mean, she redshirted for us last year and is from Montana. We call her Monty as her nickname, but she's really kind of had a really great, use in the year in the redshirt year and had a lot of depth and talent in that position a year ago when she was a freshman. So she's really taken advantage of having that redshirt year and is really, coming into the fold, has done a lot of nice things for us.
Excellent. The follow-up here, roster-wise, is from Nebraska Ball Propagandist. Great name. What are the challenges / opportunities, so a bit of, column A, column B here, in pairing young lead guards with a veteran group of wings?
Oh, well, I don't think there's any challenges. I mean, obviously your vets kind of know what they want and what they expect, but I will say, we have freshmen that are going to be in position. We actually for that point guard position with a lot of vets around them, and they're doing a great job. I think our vets have done a phenomenal job understanding what needs to take place. But there is a learning curve. I think your vets have to be patient that they are still true freshmen and going through things for the very first time and are going to have as many highs. They're going to have lows. That's typical of a freshman player. But I will say our freshmen right now in that position have played beyond their years. So that is a good problem to have.
I would say so. Next question from Steve. I really like this one. What goes into creating a schedule, and how do you plan on having a good strength of schedule every season?
That's gotten a lot harder, I will say, since the transfer portal. I think, and the conferences being so extremely tough. I think when you talk about when you looked at last year, our Big Ten schedule and how many top 25 teams and top 10 teams we were having to play, I thought our non-conference schedule might have been a little bit too tough. And then you don't know from year to year what's returning and what you're going to add. So it's really hard to find that delicate balance, I think, anymore in the non-conference. I mean, you want to be battle tested, but then you also want to make sure that a lot of your newcomers get playing time so you know what you can expect in conference play. So it's getting a lot harder, I got to be honest, because from year to year, it's really, really different.
How much do you rely on, like preseason rankings or attempting to sort of feel out how good or, like what the level is of some of the opponents you're trying to schedule?
It again, I mean, you used to be able to look at what a team's done in the past, but you don't know what they're gonna look like from a roster end. So you maybe, traditional powers like we're doing a non-conference this year with Princeton, and they always have a great team led by a great coach. So you expect consistently that's going to be a great game, but at the same point, you never know what those rosters are going to turn over and be as well as your own. You don't know what that's going to look like as well. So I think that's what makes it so tough in the non-conference slate.
Mhm. Well, back on the roster side, an interesting question here. So you recruited two international players to come into Maryland this season. How different is that recruiting process versus more of the US based one? And is that something you plan on doing more in the future?
Yeah. Well, we actually have four international players that have been added into the fold. I mean, Yarden came clearly Garzone from Indiana, but is from Israel. So
Hmm.
that one, obviously, she knew what she wanted coming out of the portal. But then, we have a guard out of Slovenia, a post player out of Belarus, as well as Romania. I find that the international kids, similar to your transfer portal kids, and the 3 international kids that we got that I just mentioned were all freshmen. Their process goes a lot faster. It's not like signing a typical high school player that you recruit for a year or 2. It's a lot quicker. They know what they want, they know what they're looking for. They might only have to compare and contrast on 1 or 2 visits. So I do find that, and a lot more international kids are coming over now with NIL and rev share, as well as the opportunity to receive an education. So I think you're going to see a lot more. That this is the most international kids we've had on our roster in my time here. So we have 5 international players, and it's been great for our locker room and our location where we're at, housed to Washington D.C. So it's been a huge advantage.
Do you feel that that's a trend that's going to continue to develop where international kids, come to play college basketball more in the States as the game grows just on a global scale?
I do. I do. I think you're seeing it a lot more. I think there's some legislation out there now to try to help them through the rev share and the NIL. I mean, that's kind of coming up. So once that happens, I think you're going to see even more of an influx. But like I said, this off season for us, I mean, we had a lot of interest from international players that wanted to come over and play.
Hmm. Excellent. Well, let's go through your career a little bit. So we know that you were at Maryland for 23 seasons. I mean, anytime you're any job in general for 23 years is an amazing run. So obviously, congrats to you.
Thank you.
24th coming up, and potentially your best team in 20 years. This is a really good question in here. It's a longer one, so stay with me, okay?
Okay.
So when you're entered at Arizona, you decided to volunteer at Pima Community College as an assistant. Your first assistant job was under Bob Lindsay at Kent State, the second Bill Fennelly at Iowa State. How do you think those roles shaped you into the coach you are today?
Oh, I mean, they were all impactful. Starting at Pima Community College, I got my feet wet right away that I did everything. I was the only assistant coach. I got to recruit. My head coach at the time also worked another job, so occasionally she had to miss a game, so there were 2 times where I had to give the pregame locker room talk, I had to coach the game, so I learned kinda really quick that, "Do you wanna do this?" Which I did. I found right away that I loved it, and then to get a Division 1 job right away out of college with Bob Lindsay. That was my first job, and got my master's as well as became an assistant coach there. So really learned a lot in the 2 years that I was with him. And then Iowa State, I probably learned the most from Bill Fennelly, just how to recruit, the relationship side of things. Just he was, just one of the best when you talk about recruiting as well as X's and O's. And so I think I really took a lot from Bill Fennelly in my 4 years that I got to be with him.
Amazing. This is a more upfront one, and I'm going to say this is not in the question, but I'm going to clarify it by saying you can't count the national championship game. What was your favorite memory from your national championship run in 2006?
In a weird sort of way, probably when we beat Utah in overtime to go to the Final Four. It was
Hmm.
the first time that we broke through, within our program to be able to make it to a Final Four. But I think the thing that sticks out is leading up to that game. I mean, there was a violent stomach flu bug that went around to three-fourths of the team and staff and support staff. And so I just remember, as we went through, we didn't even have shoot around the day of that game. And Christy Tolliver was really sick. I remember I was sick for about 12 hours, a lot of staff. And Christy was taking an IV before the game. And then that game goes to overtime. And Christy had, like 30 some plus points in that game. I mean, we kind of likened her to Michael Jordan when he had the flu and kind of tried to use the motivation in that regard. So that was a game that I'll always remember. We were out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and just everything was stacked against us with Utah having such a great team and being out there, and to find a way to win that game was pretty, incredible.
Hmm. Yeah, and I remember you had a couple of overtime wins from that run, correct?
We did. We went 6-0 that year in overtime. So
Oh my
we had a lot
gosh.
of lot of confidence when we got to overtime, and that was what happened in the championship game when we played Duke as well. So it was definitely a year that those kids really embraced going into overtime.
Do you feel that there's anything as a coach that's different in terms of like separating who wins and who loses overtime games versus, standard close regulation games?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, you have to, have a coaching staff, a coach. You have to, obviously have a lot of situations that where you want to put your players. There's got to be a belief. Your kids have to have that confidence, and you have to have that motivation to be able to help them through it. And then you have to be in elite level shape. I think mentally and physically when you get to those overtimes and double overtimes, you're clearly an evenly matched team physically when you're going into overtimes and double overtimes. So what's separating it? And what separates it either is the mental side of things or the strategy that you have within, between kind of the chess match that's going on between the two coaches.
Hmm. Another career-based question, because I find yours most interesting because you have coached in the MAC and you've coached in the Big Ten twice. People do forget you're at Minnesota for a year, but you've also coached in the ACC. So you've got a very extensive experience across a lot of arenas. What are a couple that you would say are arenas throughout your career you did not look forward to having to go play in?
Overall, out of all those conferences, I would
Yeah.
say a couple things. I couldn't
You can be as
stand.
polite or as impolite towards them as you would
Yeah,
like.
yeah, I couldn't stand when we had to go to Georgia Tech.
Hmm.
Michelle Joseph was the coach at the time. They didn't draw very well, and they would just press for 40 minutes. So you were, it was kind of like getting your teeth drilled of just 40 minutes of pressing style, ugly game. Like I don't like ugly games. I like a
Mhm.
thing of beauty, up tempo. So those games were always just, a bloodbath, right? That really physical. And then even when we played Rutgers, when Coach Stringer was there, I have the utmost respect for her, but a game that she wanted in the 60s, 50s, 60s, slow the style of play down, and I want a game in the 80s, 90s, hundreds. So,
Mhm.
those kind of styles are just, I just don't think that's how basketball should be played.
I'm with you. So, flip side of that, what are a couple that are difficult, but you enjoy going to play in?
Say that again? A couple that are what?
A couple arenas that you may not have had a great record in or are more difficult, like they have a really good fan base, but you enjoy going.
Yeah, well, my favorite arena to go into is Nebraska. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
because their fans are really sharp. Like they actually will, out of any arena I've ever been in, they will come up to you after a game and just congratulate you of how you've played, win or lose. I mean, they can lose and they are not like, poor sports. They understand really good basketball. Uh,
Mm.
so on the flip side, I'd say Louisville's fans are less than kind. So, two contrasting styles of fans that are
Hmm.
out there.
Just passionate
But
and very
you know what?
different
I
ways.
was gonna say they're both passionate, just two different styles of how they go about it.
Oh my goodness. Couple more career-based ones. Drew Ham, who I think are you aware of Drew? He has the Wisconsin site.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, Drew's a personal friend. He wanted me to ask, do you have a favorite game that you look back on fondly, even though you lost? So a favorite game where you didn't win.
Uh, I don't know that you look back and you're fond of any game that you've lost. I'll say the most recent one was South Carolina. I mean, we were right there when you talk about a team. I thought South Carolina had a lot more depth than we had. So the fact that that game came down to two possessions, and I thought our kids played as well as they could have played, given the injuries that we had of late. With Shy Sellers and Taylor Poffenberger was a shell, could barely go. We lost Bree McDaniel. So with everything that we had lost last season to, go against the depth that I thought ultimately wore us out, South Carolina was really proud of that group.
Hmm. That's a good response. I think it was so there's that aspect of it, and then there one where you felt like it was sort of an educational loss, or one that it was sort of the spur towards something greater within a season.
Hmm. I have to think on that one.
We
Too
can
many
put a pin in
games
it if
under,
you'd like.
too many games under my belt.
A couple more on the career front. 52 Cooper asks, who are some coaches that you have learned the most from through playing them over the years?
Um, I mean, we're really, really lucky because, I mean, we get to scout so many great teams. I mean, gosh, when we play in the Big Ten, I mean, every single team is elite. I mean, like I said, I would say in house. I mean, the one I learned the most from just being on staff with was Bill Fenley,
Hmm.
when I was an assistant with him. Um, Going against who I've learned the most from. Um, yeah, that's I think you take a little bit out of everyone. I think we steal from everyone. When Lisa Bluter was at Iowa, like you steal things from one another and vice versa. Like I think when you find different things that kind of line up with your personality, I think we all like steal different little moments, within one another that we find things that we really like.
This is a good follow-up question, actually. Is there a certain play that has been ran against you or that you've seen in film that you've stolen and used for yourself?
All the time. I think, I mean, this is what coaches do. I think,
Mhm.
you go into different, every season and you're scouting someone and they run a play against you and you're gonna go put it in the next day, the next team. You're gonna
Mhm.
add that set and tweak it. So I think you do that, at least I do in
Mhm.
season. I add and mix. But I remember way back when we played Mississippi State, and this was I'm talking 20 plus years ago, and we still call the play state, and they just scorched, just torched us on this play, and I've had that play in for 20 plus years, and it was from Mississippi State.
Hmm. Is there an art to that of sort of stealing or copying plays and making them your own?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have the right personnel for sure. I think when you see, someone run plays against you and they execute really well, you still have to have the right personnel. You have to, give in within those plays what that looks like. So, from year to year, but I mean, there's no secrets out there anymore. So, I don't know why, people worry about closed practices or, things being out there like we all can get everything, so, at the end of the day, then it's your players being able to have to execute, against the other team.
Yeah. This is another really interesting one because you've been at it for a while. What is one rule in college basketball you would remove and one you would add?
Uh, the one I would remove that I can't stand is shooting 2 free throws. I want to add back
Oh,
the pressure of 1-and-1 free throws. I hate
interesting.
I hate the 2 free because I feel like even when you're a poor free throw shooter, you can go out up and make 1 out of 2. And
Hmm.
back in the day when it was 1-and-1 free throws, the pressure's on. Late game, when you have, 1 free throw to get a second one, there's a lot more pressure to that late game than there is when you automatically know you've got 2 shots. So, the free throw rule, I can't stand.
It's so interesting because a lot of fans love the two free throws. And I think could be an NBA based thing, could be international. I'm not sure, but a lot of people on the men's side they want to push to eliminate the 1-and-1 and just have the two free throws. So you're on the side of the 1-and-1.
I just think it's taken away the pressure. Like, late
Oh,
game, like I
oh.
said, I mean, anyone who's not a good free throw shooter can go 50%. But if you
Hmm.
only get 1 free throw and your team's coming down to, oh, yeah, I loved it when we had it as a 1-on-1.
A good point. But do you feel like it's especially crushing when they go 0 for 2?
Yeah, but I mean, I've had really good free throw shooters, and I've had really bad free throw shooters, and they usually can go 1 for 2.
That's true. That's a good point. Uh, Another side of that, the less rules based, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about coaching in 2025 versus when you started?
My favorite is always the relationships, the people. That's, why I got into it. My least favorite thing is, I mean, obviously things have changed and, when if you're recruiting and it doesn't come down as much anymore to relationships, but maybe, the highest bidder and the dollar
Mm.
amount. I mean, our recruiting has really changed. And, I think that's the harder thing. I love the fact when you get your team and assembled and you get to have those relationships, but sometimes in the fold of that in the recruiting, it literally can come down to money.
Mm. Do you find building to fit more, or like, do you find building to the fit of the roster easier or more difficult in this era? Because I've heard both responses.
Oh. I mean, we have found, a really good, vibe to it, but you also have to have some luck. You don't know from year to year, how many scholarships you're gonna have available. Like, you used to have an exact science. You would know who was graduating, who was coming in, what your 4-year plan was. Now it's year to year, and so, some years you might need an elite level point guard out of the portal or a post kid out of the portal, and you don't know how many are gonna be in it. So you really have to be lucky in some regards, and it has to line up in the right way. So I think that's tough because this is a
Mhm.
profession that doesn't wait very long for you to be successful. So when I look at, honestly, when I look at like Buzz Williams, who got hired, he this year at Maryland had to fill an entire roster. When my assistant
Mhm.
coach Karen Blair left to go to Georgia Tech, I think 2 or 3 players remained on that roster. That's daunting when you look at, I've been in those situations having to fill 6 or 7 spots, but I can't imagine having to fill 10, 11, 12 spots.
Yeah. It feels it is odd to think about how it's only technically 4 or so more players, but it feels almost like triple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a really intriguing question I saw in here. What are a few non-negotiables for you when you're recruiting high school players?
I would say for high school players, for transfer portal players, laziness and selfishness don't do well here.
Mm.
So if you're not willing to work, you would have a hard time in our program. And if you're very me centered, you're going to have a hard time in our program.
Are you able to scout that, like via watching the film, or do you listen to the word of the coaches? How do you feel that out?
You, to the best of your ability, I wouldn't say we've ever, we're not 100% on that. Uh,
Mhm.
I find, oftentimes kids that end up transferring out realize that, the team aspect isn't for them. So,
Mhm.
it's not an exact science, but I think we all try to watch those signs and, see how players respond to certain things. And, now we talk about it a lot more. We're a lot more transparent when we recruit players, what it's going to look like here.
Mm. So a couple more on the team here. A really good one for this upcoming season from T. Hardy. Can you talk a little bit about the upcoming exhibition game against NC State? What do you hope to get out of a game like that, as opposed to what a lot of teams do, playing a D2 or a D3 in an exhibition?
Yeah, I mean, we used to always do exhibition games with D2 and D3 opponents, but now that they've opened up the ruling where you can play a public exhibition game with a Division 1 team, we used to be able to make it private. It was no one could watch, and I kind of found when I did those against Division 1 opponents, our players kind of treated them like scrimmages. I like our players to be in front of fans. So, I really like the fact, I mean, we're at home most of our non-conference slate except for when we go to Puerto Rico, so I think it's a great opportunity for us to go on the road right away and play, against obviously a really good NC State team to really see, where our team's at and how we match up. So I'm looking forward to that exhibition game.
Hmm. One other relatively new one for Maryland. Can you talk about some of the new amenities in your new performance center?
Oh, yeah. It's state of the art when you talk about, what we've been in it for about a month, so, when you talk about 2025 and moving into a brand new facility, it has all the bells and whistles, so, when you talk about your weight room and what you're able to do in there with all the technology that you now have and, everything from, your strength and conditioning coach, you have the next level with treatment modalities in your athletic training room. So, again, it's an area for our players that they've spent a lot of time with their recovery and fine tuning anything from an injury prevention area. And then just, when I look down from our offices all moved over there and when you look down onto the court, I mean, our players are in there all the time. I mean, it's
Mm.
their second home, whether they're in there, getting shots up or taking advantage of, the film room, the lounge or locker room. And so, they've really been enjoying it.
Excellent. One other here from Hawkeye 1218. This isn't an IO question, I promise. And I will preface this: you are not allowed to say your own team here. Which team in the Big Ten this year do you think has the potential to surprise people with how good they might be, and why?
Two come to mind. I would say the biggest one probably Minnesota. I think she does a great job. Mara Braun. I think her status of being back healthy. People just don't realize how hard of a player she is to scout and to defend. And then when you look at their guard play is experienced now. Those kids are juniors and, have been waiting for Mara to get healthy. So I think they're going to be really good. Obviously, Michigan, I thought was another team that, the freshman guards that they brought in, and then I thought had some really good portal pickups. So I think Michigan will be a team that I don't know if surprise is the right word because they had a lot of success last year, but I think they're gonna do really well this season.
Mm. Not exactly a follow-up, but I am curious to hear your thoughts. How do you feel the new additions? How do you feel like USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon? How do they fit into the league for you? Does it still feel kind of strange playing them, or do you feel that they're assimilating themselves quite well?
I think they had no issues last year.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Washington's another team. I mean, I could put them right up there with Michigan and Minnesota. I think they're going to be really good too. I think the pieces they added and the players they have coming back, and obviously we all know what USC and UCLA did, and Oregon is a really tough opponent. So I think those four teams have been phenomenal additions, and it has gone. I think as smooth as it possibly could have gone in year one.
Mm. How does the travel aspect of that work for you all?
I think the majority of us, it's one swing trip. So we look forward to like this year we'll go out for 6 days and enjoy LA and play USC and UCLA just like we did last year when we went to Oregon and Seattle and it took our players, up Space Needle and you in between games you have some time to kind of reset. I think for them it's a harder challenge when you talk about, the West Coast schools having to make 4 swing trips.
Mhm.
I don't envy them whatsoever. I think that, because the time zone's a real thing. I mean, when we came back from Oregon and Washington, we came back to our time zone after a week, and it was tough. It was, tough to flip that around, so I can't imagine from their internal clocks what that looks like.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that in football this weekend, USC plays at Illinois, and for USC, that game is going to start at 9 a.m. on their, standard time. And so I can't. There were a couple of games like that in Big Ten play last year. I think USC Iowa was a fairly early game late in the season, but yeah, I'm curious. I know for you all, you're able to turn into that West Coast swing, and you're able to do some sightseeing, which is really good. And I'm sure it's great for the players who I am guessing most of them probably haven't been to a Seattle or an LA before.
Yeah, a lot of them haven't.
Okay, two good cities to go see at least once in your life. Um, let me see if we've got any more various ones. A couple good ones here. Another from a Nebraska fan. I'll narrow it down for you. What do you feel is the most difficult offensive set to stop right now?
Most difficult. I think, well, I'll say like early in the non-conference, your players getting used to the chin offense. I think players like it takes a rhythm. So non-conference, I think that offense, is tough until after you've repped it through a few teams. So I think when, you play a team with the chin offense, there's a little bit of an advantage in the early non-conference until your kids get comfortable with it. It's probably the hardest one, I would say.
Hmm. One more here, and then I'll jump to some more, yeah, miscellaneous ones. Are there certain coaches you play against that you feel like you have to set up your coaching strategy to offset theirs?
That I have to set up my say that again? I have to
Uh, So the question, sorry, the question was, are there certain coaches that you face off against that you feel like it's on you to change up your coaching strategy to offset what they are doing?
Mm, no, I mean, I think every coach comes in with what they're doing, but I think within game, you're constantly trying to, and this is in any game, trying to throw off each other's rhythm. So if,
Mm.
like, let's say Ohio State, for example, we know that's a team that likes to press, our goal is to get him out of the press. And, if we get him out of the press, then Kevin McGuff's probably going to go to a different press. And
Mm.
so, you're constantly going back and forth within your strategy, or you'll come back, if he's going to press me, maybe I'm going to go back and press him, and kind of challenge, in that kind of chess match if I have the personnel to be able to do it.
Mm. Excellent. And then one more basketball wise, and I'll get into some of our less basketball-y ones. What is your thought on the Big Ten tournament going to all 18 on the men's side, but reportedly staying at 15 on the women's side?
I know there was a lot of discussion out there when, because it's different with
Hmm.
the women at 15. We voted on it. The men are trying to protect everybody, where we felt like as coaches, we, were, the voting, we wanted 15. We felt like, just, it extends the tournament where you're going to have to come in more games in a row, more missed class time, and 16, 17, and 18 aren't making the NCAA. So
Right.
they're just going to pull you down. And if there is some sort of upset, which you would hope there wouldn't be, but play it out, that's going to really impact, some of your other top teams that are earning their right to get to the tournament. So we didn't want to add the extra days and prolong the bracket, that it was going to take place for a team that wasn't going to be in the NCAA tournament.
I would also simply say 15 is enough.
Yeah.
Like that's enough teams. If you can't at least get to 15th in the 18 team league, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, true.
Well, let's get to some of ours we ask every guest. My favorite one we ask everybody. What is your optimal temperature inside your place of residence?
uh like temperature, like
Like what you would
70.
set your thermostat at.
Yeah, well, it depends what time of day it is. If it's right now during the day, it's 72 or 63, or 72, 73, but at night I like it cold. It's got to be like between 65 and 68 at night.
I have to ask because we have had some interesting responses. We have had one coach say 78, which I thought was bonkers.
Oof.
But we have
Oof.
also had a coach say 66. So I don't want to see their utility bill.
Yeah,
I
no.
mean, especially not in this era. Top College Park eatery.
Well, that would be different, I think, if you asked our kids versus uh, our staff. I'm a big fan of Burton's and Grill Marks, so those are my top two.
Interesting. I have yet to get out there, so I will have to go to one of those. Um, Favorite fast food chain.
I'm not a big fast food, so
Think back to like when you were the kids' age,
when
when
I
you're
was a
like, oh, I
kid's
love
age,
fast food.
the kids' age, it'd be any kind of pizza joint.
Yeah.
Popular in College Park is Lido's. Lido's
Oh,
Pizza,
yes. Yes, I've heard of that.
a good one.
Let me see if we have any others. We don't really, but so here's one I like asking. If I were a neutral fan and I didn't have a women's team to root for, sell me on why it's fun to watch Maryland basketball. I know because I have watched the games and I enjoy watching them. If I were somebody who's, coming new to women's college sports and I'm just getting into it, why should Maryland be my team?
Well, you're gonna watch a really high, fast-paced, energetic team that's gonna get up and down the court, score a ton of points, loves to get after it on both ends. Our mantra is defend, rebound, and run. And then you're gonna see like a bench that is, when you watch the bench, you're gonna watch like a team and a staff that where everyone's like pulling for each other. So you'll see like, just that kind of energy between the bench and the floor, and just a team that's really connected that you're going to want to be a part of.
That's an excellent response. This is our collective sell to watch Maryland women's hoops this year, because let's say it up here, it's not bandwagoning because you've approved it. It's fine. No matter how good you are this year, it's not bandwagoning because the head coach said you should watch more Maryland basketball. Coach, thank you so much for doing this and taking some time out of your Wednesday night. Really looking forward to the team this year, and again, best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. This was our AMA with Coach Brenda Frese, and we'll have another one soon.